Jerry Kramer of the Packers is here with us on Radio Row at Super Bowl XLVIII in New York. Let's start out this way, Jerry. You played. There's talk this game could be played in miserable conditions on Sunday. Could be.
Yep.
You played in not one but two of the coldest championship games in history. 1962 at Yankee Stadium, which doesn't always get a lot of publicity, and then 5 years later, a game that we all know about at Lambeau Field. Just talk about those two ball games and just what the conditions were like.
Well, the game in Yankee Stadium, Vince Lombardi Jr. tells me is the coldest one he ever attended, and he was at both of them. So it had 40-mile-an-hour winds. The last field goal I attempted, probably about 40 yards. I had to aim 10 yards outside the goal post to make that kick. The wind was blowing that hard. It literally blew at halftime. It blew the benches. We had little square benches without backs on them, and it blew the benches 10 yards out onto the field. And capes were strewn all over the field, and it was really a bitter cold day and a violent football game. Sam Huff must have hit Jimmy Taylor with everything but one of the benches. It was a big, long day.
Did it hurt more than the game 5 years later? I've heard the David Marinas book about Lombardi talked about some of the players saying that the conditions were almost worse than the game at Lambeau Field. Was that yes or no?
I don't really have much of a feeling about which one was the coldest. They were both bitter, absolutely. But I did prepare maybe a little bit better for the Ice Bowl game. I had learned that you can't con the cold. You can tell yourself all the bull you want about we're going to be out there for an hour or two. We'll be all right. This is Ram weather. This is Cowboy weather. This is Packer weather. Baloney. It's cold, and you'd better prepare for it. So I cut some thermals off at the elbow and off at the knee. I put a big wool dickie around my neck and down my chest a little bit. And Gail Gillingham comes over and said, "Are you going to wear gloves?" I said, "Hell yes, it's 50 below out there. What do you think? Who are you kidding?" So don't try to con the cold because it won't go for it.
And your perspective now, these years later after 1967, December 31st, 1967, being a part of that game, what has it meant to you playing in that game now?
There was a goal that we had at the beginning of the season. The first meeting of the year, we were looking for our third consecutive championship. And it was important to the coach because no one had done it before, and he felt it would set us apart from other teams. So in the first meeting, he talked about the challenge we faced and what we would have to do to meet that challenge and how every team would be cocked and loaded and waiting for us. They'd been studying our films for a year, and they were the worst team on the league was going to be ready for us. So it was a long and difficult season, but we kept that goal in mind and kept moving closer and closer to it. That Ice Bowl game, you had a great Cowboy football team. That wasn't just a good team. That was a great team. And they actually dominated the second half of the ball game to the point where we got the ball with 4 minutes and 35 seconds, and in previous 31 plays, 10 possessions, they'd held us to a -9 yards. And I asked Bart one time, I said, "What possessed you to think you could take the ball 65 yards when we'd made -9 in the previous 31 plays?" He said, "The look in your eyes, the look in Forrest's eyes, the look in Gilly's eyes." He said, "I started to say something, but I looked in that huddle and he said, I knew you knew what we had to do." So, you never know. You get in those situations and you reach down for something, and you're not sure what you're reaching for, and you're not sure if you ever really get it. But I've always felt that we found a little piece of Lombardi there, and we elevated our performance. We came together, and everybody participated. Bob Skoronski made a sensational block on George Andre on that give play on about the 11-yard line.
Right.
We ran the give on Lilly. Bart asked Ski in the huddle, said, "Ski, can you block Andre?" And Ski says, "Run it. Run it."
Yeah.
And Gilly was great, and Boyd Dowler and Donnie Anderson and Chuck Mercine, everybody made a contribution. So it was a wonderful experience, and probably my highlight. If I have to pick a moment or a time out in my career with Coach Lombardi, I played 9 years with him, it would be that drive. That's the part I'm proudest of.
All right, so these two teams play in those kind of conditions on Sunday, and it may not happen, but let's say it does happen. What will it be like for them? How might it affect the ball game?
Well, it's difficult to throw the ball when it's that cold. It really is. Everybody's not only slipping and sliding, but their hands are cold and the ball is hard and they can't get a grip on it and the wind is blowing. So it's a totally different football game, and you must run the ball. So if you've got a decent running game, you'll be all right, because you're going to have to go to it. So it really could be a very difficult game for Peyton.
Jerry, you've done everything else you can do in football, but you're not in the Hall of Fame. Does that, and that's coming up this weekend. How much does it bother you now?
Football's been very, very good to me. Billy good. I was recently named to one of the top 10 Packers of all time, just a couple months ago or so.
You were an all-decade, all 50th anniversary.
All 50-year team. I pulled out a poster. I've never seen it. About 4 months ago, it was in my trunk. I'm running like a gangbuster at that time, and I look at this poster, and there's Red Grange, Bronco Nagurski, Ernie Nevers, Don Hudson, Crazy Leg Hirsch, and Jerry Kramer. I go, wow, what company. What a wonderful thing to have and to share with the family. So I've had a lot of presents from football. It's given me, I'm like the guy that got 99 presents under the tree, and I didn't get the big one I was hoping for. I am not going to let that spoil the 99. It's been a wonderful ride. I've had an incredible experience playing the game. Loved my team. I love my coach, and I really enjoy the game. So I'm okay with that now. My little tippy emotional boat was about to tip over there for a while. Mm-hmm. I'm pouting. I got my lip out, and I'm going to do this and going to do that. But if they decide not to give it to me, that's okay. It's been a great ride.
Let's talk briefly. You're here for Blimpie. Tell us about what you're here about.
Blimpie has been sponsoring me for the last 3 or 4 years. They make a sensational sandwich, as you know. They make a wonderful tray for the Super Bowl Sunday. If you want to invite some friends over, it's a healthy, very tasty, wonderful product. So if you got a shot at doing something on Super Bowl Sunday, get you a handful of Blimpies and sit back and enjoy the game.
We think he's a Hall of Famer. I didn't much on December 31st, 1967, but all these years later, I think I'm willing to admit that. Jerry Kramer, one of the greats. Thanks, Jerry. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Billy. Nice to be with you.